So I'd like to welcome everyone. So as you can see, we have two teams today, and they are going to be debating, battling it out, and deciding who's the best team on the stage right now. On my right, you have the proposition. These guys agree with the motion. On my left, you have the opposition. They disagree with the motion. So we have a chairperson. We need a chairperson in the debate. We have judges. That's you guys. We have speakers. There's just one thing I'm missing. It's a timekeeper. I wonder if anyone could help out with timekeeping. Let's go over here. Let's go over here. Give her a round of applause. Come on. Hi, what's your name? Yeva. Yeva is our timekeeper. Give her a round of applause. Take a seat. You can take a seat. Take a seat. Okay, so each speaker is going to have 3 minutes in length. So for 3 minutes, they are going to make the case for their side of the debate. They're going to have something also called protected time. And so what will happen is after the first 30 seconds of each speech, you will hear a clap like this. Can you clap for me, Yeva? Just one, just one.
Oh, one.
Yeah? And at 2 minutes 30, you'll hear a clap like this. Just one. And then at 3 minutes, you'll hear 2 claps like this. All right, so now those claps mean specific things for debates. So after the first clap at 30 seconds, it means that the other side on the debate are allowed to give something called a point of information. Now, Nicole, I wonder if you can model what a point of information looks like. I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3.
POI?
There you go. A pro, because she even says POI. Give her a round of applause for that. Really good. And a point of information is a short interruption of the speech that is being given. And so the speaker who offers a point of information can make a point, ask a question, clarify something for about 10 to 15 seconds. Now, the person who's receiving the point of information, the person who's giving the speech, they are completely at liberty, they're completely free to either reject the point, accept it, or delay it. And so, I only need one more thing to start this debate. I wonder if anyone can tell me what that is. What was that? What was it? The motion. So, if I could have a drum roll, please. The motion before the House today is this House would give 16-year-olds the vote. This House would give 16-year-olds the vote. And so, without further ado, I would like to go to our first speaker in proposition. She is in year 11 and goes to St. Angela's School in Forest Gate. There they are. Last year, actually, she won the London round of the DMC and came second in the UDL. She was in the team that came second in the country, so that's pretty impressive. And her favorite celebrity is Emma Watson. I'd like to welcome Nicole. Give her a round of applause.
So I'm Nicole, like all of you know. Now, one thing to clarify. Proposition is your voice. I want you to know that. So, this motion is, this House would lower the voting age to 16. Now let's define this. What do you mean, lower the age to 16? So, we mean 16 and 17-year-olds. We want to encourage sixth forms, colleges across the country to become polling stations for us to vote. Now, but why should 16-year-olds vote, you may ask me. Opposition might ask me, us, proposition. Well, it's to increase inclusion in this democratic process. Let's see. Right now in London, when you were coming, you saw the Brexit strikes, the Brexit riots. So,
point of information?
Declined. You saw this, did you know it? So we as young people need to be part of this democratic process. But why? So we can involve young people like us. So we can decline. So we can involve people in minority groups in voting. Because Because right now, as it stands, the statistics are most people who vote are not from minority groups that are presented in this very room, minority groups that I am part of, that we are part of. But how are we going to enforce this motion, you may ask? Well, as a young person, as young people, I know that we are interested in topics. When you were watching the video, I saw all of you cheer for Greta Thunberg. Declined. I saw you cheer for her. I'm sure all of us want to get solutions for these problems. So if we introduce politics into our young culture, we can make a difference. Don't you agree? Exactly. Point of information. I'll take one later in my speech. Right. But why? Why should we do this? Because as young people, if we vote, our parents are encouraged to vote. They'll be like, my child is voting, then so should I. If a 16-year-old can make a difference, so should I. Is that not right? Yeah. And it's important because it is our future. I'll get to you in a bit. Right? Because what can we do at 16? Opposition might say 16 is too young, but I'll tell you what we can do at 16. We can take the decision to get married with consent. We can get a job. We can pay taxes. We can join the army. We can be part of a trade union. We can do anything. The list goes on. We believe in the representation of our country. So as much as a 50-year-old's voice matters, so does a 16-year-old's. Because why? We are members of one body, ladies and gentlemen. We know politicians care about the people who vote, who decide, and we will decide who stays in their job. We know right now, because of less voter turnout, we know that things have gone bad. So just to summarize, we need to introduce democracy. We need to increase voter turnout. So give us a voice.
Yeah. Okay, two important things. The first thing is, you notice that Nicole, other than giving a fantastic speech, she takes care to outline what she means by the motion in something we call a definition. What do they mean when they say they want to give 16-year-olds the vote? What do they want 16-year-olds to vote on? And that's the job of the first proposition speaker, just to tell us more about what the debate is about and to avoid confusion later on down the line. The second thing is, I think I heard some booing. And I'd like to remind everyone in the audience that we welcome people who are taking the plunge and being courageous and standing here in front of their peers, and I'd like you all to extend the same courtesy you would expect if you were giving a speech to all of the speakers here, and indeed for the rest of the Debate Mate program. Does that sound good? Yeah. Nice. All right. In which case, I'd like to cross the floor and invite the first speaker on side opposition. Now, this speaker is a special speaker. She is an ex-Debate Mate student. She used to go to Preston Manor High School, and this year she's on her gap year and she's the director of the Debate Mate Graduate School, which is where you can go after you've finished the Debate Mate program from years 7 to 10. She's currently the captain of the England National Debating Schools team. Yeah, give her, yeah? And her favorite celebrity is Serena Williams. Give it up for Serena.
I want to make one thing perfectly clear, guys. It wasn't enough for side proposition to stand up and tell you guys that you're rational, or that some 16-year-olds are mature, or that some 16-year-olds are smart. Because we on side opposition believe that there is an arbitrary line for most things, for laws, for voting, for all sorts of rights, and you have to draw it somewhere. We think that the experiences which 18-year-olds tend to have are just in such a way that it is preferential that we let them all have the vote, because we think that's the point where the majority of people that age have the necessary lived experience to be able to have the vote. Before I go into my arguments, one quick point of rebuttal. For some unknown reason, the proposition seems to believe that if you give 16-year-olds a vote, that you're going to magically have a high turnout of 16-year-olds. Well, why is it then that 18 to 24-year-olds, the group directly above them, have the lowest turnout consistently? You could argue that if you give 16-year-olds the vote, that they'll learn, but 24-year-olds have had 6 years to learn. They've been able to vote for 6 years, and they still don't vote. They're just trying to put a plaster over a bigger issue, which is a lack of education, as my second speaker, Kiana, is going to talk about. Let's talk about why it is, though, that 18-year-olds should have the vote where 16-year-olds shouldn't. The first thing I want to say is that when you're 16, you're still in that stage in your life where your entire life is being planned out for you. You have to go from your SATs to your GCSEs, and then to your A-levels or vocational training or whatever you do. It's only when you're 18 that you actually have to think about the world around you, because your path isn't defined.
Serena.
No, thank you, Millie. Because the difference between making a decision about what A-level you take and literally making a decision about where you live or what job you get is massive. And sure, you guys are gaining experience when you're 16, but you're not there yet. When you have to have your entire life in your own control, that is when you should have the right to vote. But the second thing I want to say is that actually, on a principle level, you probably shouldn't have the right to vote, because rights come with responsibilities, and adults have far more responsibilities. If an adult said to the government that they didn't want to work, then the government would I'll take you in a second, the government would take away their benefits, and that person would be left destitute. If somebody said that I'm going to commit a crime, they'll be tried as an adult. You guys don't get that. Instead, you get the state funding you and providing everything for you, because you're not ready for that yet. So if you want the right to vote, you also have to take on those responsibilities. And we are the rational side who think that you're far too young for that. Don't you agree?
Serena says that rights come with responsibilities. I would say that putting on a uniform and picking up a gun and fighting for your country is a responsibility. You can do that at 16.
No, you can't do that at 16. You're not allowed to actually go out and fight. You're just in the reserves. That's another example of how 16-year-olds aren't ready for the adult life. Thank you for proving my point. I want to leave with you guys with is just a question, because what will this actually change? Because when an adult sees that a 16-year-old doesn't have the same rights as responsibilities as them, but still gets the vote, it's probably the case that adults then start voting against things like education funding. So you probably make the situation worse for young people. You probably don't get a reduction in things like tuition fees. You guys aren't ready yet as a group, but even if you were, you're not going to see a change in policy. So the only logical thing to do in this debate is to oppose the motion. Thank you.
I would like to thank Zarina for her fine speech. Now, the other thing I should point out, this is more of a question. Who here likes chicken? Yeah? Who here likes Nando's chicken? Okay. Well, in that case, I have some good news for you. This isn't just going to be the people on the stage giving speeches today. Actually, in DebateMate and in our format, there is an opportunity for audience members to have a go and make their opinion known. And it's done in what we call the floor debate. And that's where we come to you guys for a question, a point. If there's anything you think they missed, anything that you think is important and hasn't been talked about enough, we're going to come to you guys and you can tell us exactly what you think. And that's going to happen after the third speaker on side opposition, so after Denise over there. Now, so my message to you, if you like chicken, is jot down your points, don't forget them. It may come in handy very soon. Now, I'd like to cross the floor once again and invite the second speaker on side proposition. Now, this man's name is Ben, and he is the head of innovation at DebateMate, and he's actually been at DebateMate since the start. He was here when the DebateMate program started with 30 schools all those years ago, and he's now delivered DebateMate training to students and professionals all across the world, including in Japan and in America. His favorite celebrity is Mesut Ozil. Give it up for Ben.
414 years ago, on this day, Guy Fawkes tried to blow up a building around the corner, the Houses of Parliament. He tried to wage a war on democracy, he hated democracy, and so decide opposition. The building of the Houses of Parliament stands tall today, it stands strong, but what's happening inside is just the opposite. It's not functioning properly. You heard earlier that we've had in this building Jeremy Corbyn, Nigel Farage, Theresa May, Boris Johnson. Quite simply, they're not doing their job properly. Parliament's been in gridlock for ages. We've had 3 prime ministers in 3 years, and soon maybe to have a 4th. The key reason is that the population isn't engaged in politics. We have one solution to that. Get young people involved in politics early, and they will stay in politics throughout the rest of their life, helping to benefit their society. Young people are energetic. There's amazing energy in this room. We need to harness that energy. You guys care about stuff. Serena tried to tell you, and she is a world champion, and she did rebut me really well, but she tried to tell you that you guys don't have experience and you don't care enough. We disagree. Shout if you care about ending homelessness. Shout if you care about stopping the climate catastrophe and saving your planet. Now, if I asked a room of 50, 60, 70-year-olds, the answers might be the same, but the energy just wouldn't. We need to put the energy into politics and start it as early as possible. If people start voting early, they will vote often and vote forever. Habits are developed when you're young. If we give you the vote, it shows that we care about you. I personally would extend this principle even lower than 16, but it's a great place to start. This is my 12th, no thanks George, this is my 12th debate mate launch, 12th. What that means is I've seen 50,000 young people come through these doors, and I've never been as convinced as today that young people should have the vote and can change politics for the better. Yes.
Which A-level would you like a 16-year-old to drop so that they have time to save the world as you want them to? Politics, maybe?
In Zarina's world, Greta Thunberg, who, ladies and gentlemen, is only 17 or 16, wouldn't be able to vote. She can go to the UN and she can talk to presidents and she can actively engage a world population to save the planet, but they don't want to give her a vote. You don't have to drop an A-level, you can do it all. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's once and for all stick it to Guy Fawkes to show him that democracy is important, that a positive revolution is coming, that young people matter, and that at 16, you really, really can change the world. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank Ben for his fine speech, and also point out and highlight something very important that you hear happen at the beginning of Ben's speech. He directly addresses someone on the other side, and that's what we call rebuttal. And all of the speakers will be doing it and have done it in the debate, other than Nicole, obviously, because she spoke first. But that is effectively what separates this from just public speaking. What we are doing is engaging with the other side and trying to meet their arguments head on. So, next, I would like to cross the floor and invite the second speaker inside opposition. Their name is Kiana. She is also a former DebateMate student, and she went to Evelyn Grace Academy, and now she is a senior program director in the DebateMate office. She is next year starting a training contract at Clifford Chance as a lawyer. And her favorite celebrity is Shuri herself, Letitia Wright. Give her a round of applause.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I go into the crux of my speech, I'd just like to raise a few points of rebuttal and just highlight a few areas of misrepresentation that the proposition are really running with. We are not saying we hate democracy. In fact, we love it. In fact, it is extremely important. And that's why we are saying that the vote is important, but we are just simply stating when. And just another quick point to address. Ben mentioned habits, but truth be told, habits are developed from birth. But habits is not what we require to be eligible for when we're deciding whether someone should vote. Because if habits was the founding principle, then we'd all have the vote from birth. But that's simply not the case. And so I move on to the crux of my speech. We on side opposition know that you are all extremely intelligent. We know that in this very room, we could have the future Prime Minister. We also know that in this room, we have some phenomenal change makers. But what we also know is that rather fortunately, in this room full of bright and phenomenal talented young people, is that you guys are not adults yet. And so in the UK, legally, you are recognised as an adult at 18. And what Proposition keep doing is making out that all these responsibilities you're given at 16 are so huge and far between without actually telling you the truth. The truth is that when you are 16 or 17, yes, you can get married. Yes, you can fight in the army. Yes, you may potentially pay taxes, but truth be told, A, you need your parents' permission, who we assume, if we do the maths, are above the age of 18. And B, the majority of 16-year-olds do not hit the tax threshold to pay tax. So we have side Proposition funneling a bunch of strange, somewhat truths, fake truths. No, thank you. And we're here to tell you the real truth. We're saying that our focus should not just be forcing 16-year-olds to vote and forcing young people to grow up and take on adult responsibilities earlier than their time. We are saying that we want to encourage you to develop and become well-informed adults. We are saying that if Proposition really genuinely cared about young people, about their voice, about their engagement, what they would do is spend their time on thinking about how we can cultivate an education system that prepares you to be politically engaged and aware, so that when you do hit adulthood, you are well-informed, you are making the right decisions, you have the wealth of information. I'll take your point in a sec. Proposition's idea to solve all these things, apparently by having 16-year-olds vote, is going to shift the voting, how the voting works and how the demographics we get in voting. But we're saying that lowering the voting age is simply placing a plaster on an extremely deep wound that transcends all ages. Poor political education. I'll take your point.
You're saying that young people's voice matters, that we have the change makers here in the room. Why are you then denying them the ability to change our political system and to make politicians listen to them?
What we are saying at 16, when you have youth parliament, where you have the British Youth Council, where there are means that young people can prepare and be politically engaged, we should focus our time on supporting that. And what we also should do is that we are saying, yes, they have a voice, they are smart, they are intelligent, they will change the world, but we are saying that we want you to understand that by the time you reach 18 and you are legally an adult, an actual adult, then when you are ready to take on all those responsibilities, you do it well. Not forcing young people to tick a box without being well informed, without supporting their political education, and without actually helping and contribute to them being the adults that we believe they can be if you side with opposition. So for all those reasons, please support opposition. Thank you.
I would like to thank Yana for her fine speech. And now we're going to cross the floor once again to another one of our student speakers. And I should remind all of the members of the audience that chicken will be on the line very soon. So do keep an eye and ear out for any points that you would like to agree or disagree with. Shh. Stay with me. Now, our next speaker is in year 10 and they attend Langdon Academy. And they also finished second in the Urban Debate League last year in a national competition, second in the country. Pretty impressive. Her name is Hoda, and her favorite celebrity is Beyonce. Give her a round of applause.
Okay, hello everyone. So as you just heard, my name is Hoda. Before I start my speech, I would just like to give a rebuttal to the opposition team. First of all, the first speaker said that 18 to 24-year-olds currently have a very low turnout. Now, the reason that 18 to 24-year-olds have a low turnout is that, bearing in mind, they are not in compulsory education anymore. So compulsory education is from the age of 4 to 16, and after the age of 18, things such as university isn't compulsory, so they do not have the support from their teachers to learn more about politics, and therefore they are not really interested and do not prioritize politics as much. Secondly, the opposition team have the audacity declined to say that we are not ready for voting. See, this is a clear example of how the youth nowadays are undermined. Now, who here believes that they are capable of making their own decisions for their future? Okay, so some people said no, and some people said yes. However, the majority of people, including myself, believe that I can choose my own future, and voting allows us to do so. Now moving on to declined. Now moving on to my main point for today. Educating young people about the voting system. Now, I am 14 years old, and in all honesty, I do not know much about politics. However, by voting at 16, we have much more time to thoroughly understand the process of politics, because politics is a very complex thing. Accepted.
Surely we would have even more time to develop even better, well-informed adults if we allow them to vote at 18 rather than 16, as your side is suggesting.
No, we won't, because as I previously mentioned, after the age of 18, we are not in compulsory education. So by being 16, we can take the opportunity whilst we are in secondary school, whilst we're in sixth form or college, to actually use our guidance from our support, from our teachers, and from our peers. Now moving back onto my point. By voting at the age of 16, you have more time to understand, because you have 2 extra years of compulsory education, and you can make the most of this to learn about your politics. Secondly, nowadays, to be honest with you, a lot of young people are detached from politics. Let's say I come home from school and my mum is watching TV about when the Brexit deal is coming. Really and truly, I just want to put my feet up and watch Netflix, because I don't care about politics, because we don't learn about these things and the government don't implement it into the education system, which is something that is a flaw and it is taking us away. So how can we be thrust into the politics system by the age of 18 with no real knowledge about it? We can start by 16, having more time, so as we get older, we understand more and more about what politics is. Now, what I want to say is how this links is because we all want, as a society, where we are educated, where young children and young people are educated, and this also links to us knowing about politics. How can you determine that by the time we're 18 years old, we are going to know everything about politics? We should take little chunks, and we can start by 16. We can teach children more and more about politics, so by the time they are 18, they know much more instead of being thrown into this politics system. Thank you for listening to my speech, and I hope you vote for proposition.
I would like to thank Hoda for a very impassioned and fine speech. I'd like to remind the audience we're coming to you after this next speech, but before that, I would like to welcome a Year 11, also from St. Angela's. She was also part of the team that won the London round of the Debate Mate Cup and second in the Urban Debate League national competition last year. Her favourite celebrity is Hillary Clinton. Give it up for Denise.
Now guys, the first thing I'm going to say is I am so confused. I don't understand how the proposition is not mentioning the fact that us, strong and independent young youths, have a voice outside the voting system. Can you not see that? Can they not see that? We have the power to continue demonstrating what we want in this world, how we want it, when we want it, without being able to vote. Decline. So, let's go into my points. So, like I was trying to say before, us youths, we still have the chance to say what we want,
Point of information.
what voice we, with our voices, decline, and be able to continue going through with what the world wants us to think. Through our parents, we are able to demonstrate what we want. And I'm sure all of you guys would want the best for our world, right? Isn't it? So then why does proposition think that we don't have the ability to do that without the voting system? Yes?
I do agree with what you're saying to some extent, but at the same time, voting is the way it directly impacts us and is the most effective way to bring about change for our youth.
Now, if I were to give you an example, if I mention that there are some children out there who care about the environment, I'm sure you guys would have a named example there. There are children who are working hard to try and change the environment, and proposition is not seeing this. Decline. Now to link this all together, we understand that we have a voice. Decline. That we have a voice in our society. We are not being demeaned in our society. We are strong and independent. And that's the thing that opposition is trying to state. Now, clearly, you can see I don't feel confident in when I'm speaking, but I, with my own power and strength, is using my voice to try and demonstrate to you that proposition is incorrect, which is what children are trying to do. People under 16 are trying to do. So that means that us as children, us as being under 16, we are able to excel further, to be the best we can be, and change the world in a way that we want it to be. Right, guys? Yeah. Don't we want the best for our world? Yeah. Then why do we think that we don't have a voice when we do? So in general, to summarize everything, we do have a voice. We are not being demeaned, and we can make a difference. Thank you.
Okay. Let's give all the speakers so far a round of applause. That was excellent. Now we want to hear from you guys. So, what I'm going to do is we're going to get two of the team to come down here with mics, and if you put your hand up, you can give your own opinion, you can ask a question or anything you would like to do. Just remember to give us your name and your school before you give your point. Where are we going to go to first? Yeah, let's go front row. Let's go front row.
Stand up, say your name and your school.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina and I'm from Norfolk School. So I would just like to address a few rebuttals to the proposition team. So first of all, they talked about Greta Thunberg, who obviously is a very intelligent young woman, and we all can agree with this. However, she only represents a minority of the people who actually care for the environment. It doesn't mean that everyone who's 16 cares and knows the right choices and knows how to help our environment, because I personally know many 16-year-olds who would not be mature enough to vote. Also, just because it would be involved in our educational system, it doesn't mean we will care about it, because at 16 we have many other interests, as well as our GCSEs, so I think should be the thing that we should focus the most on. And that's why I believe voting shouldn't be allowed for 16-year-olds.
Excellent point, well done. Well done. Waving just behind you, Liana. Waving just behind you. You can give your speech from there, it's fine.
Oh,
you can give your speech from there, it's okay.
Hi, I'm Keris and I'm from Dagenham Park CV Secondary School. And I'm on Team Preposition because most 16-year-olds won't be able to, they mess around a lot because they're still teenagers. But when you're 18, you've matured and you understand stuff. So you're like, I know I don't know the name of it, I forgot.
Opposition?
That one.
Proposition on that side?
Proposition is saying that you could put it in the education system, but there's so many clubs with like Debate Mate and stuff, that people could choose if they want to do it.
Okay, excellent point. Give her a round of applause. Alex, in the row just in front of you, one row forward, one row, yeah, go, yeah? Yeah?
Stand up and say your name and school.
My name is Maisha and I'm from Central Foundation. And as the girl over there said, yes, some 16-year-olds are messing about, but do you represent all 16-year-olds in this whole entire room? Have you heard him say that there are 6,000 students in this school? And in addition to that, do you know all the opinions of these people? Some of them might want to vote, but they don't have the opportunity. So if we did have the opportunity right now, would you know whether we vote or not?
Okay, give her a round of applause. Liana, go for it.
Then Bailey. Stand up for Bailey. Stand up for Bailey. What? Yo. Go ahead. Cool.
Gosh.
So I feel like, ooh, it's lame. I feel.
The floor is yours.
My name. Oh, my name is William, and I go to Berners Pastor Catholic College. And it feels weird, you know. And I feel like that. What's it called? Wait. I feel like the House shouldn't allow the voting age to be at 16 years old. Because when you're 16, you're still like in sixth form, and instead of like focusing on politics, you should. Yeah, instead of focusing on politics, you should still be doing your A levels and focusing on your education. And like when you're 16, you're not mature enough to like be making your own decisions on like real world like issues. So yeah, vote.
All right, excellent point. Give him a round of applause. Now I think we've got time for one more. Alex, just up there. Yeah, go for it.
Do I talk? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, my name is Karen from the Archer Academy. And I'm on the proposition team. I believe that we should start voting at the age of 16 due to the fact that it affects us now and in the future. Young people have their own mindset, and the old generation and the government need to acknowledge that they don't know what will benefit us now or in the future. By the age of 16, we would have basic knowledge of politics, give us a say on how we run our country.
Amazing, excellent point. Thanks, guys. That's going to be it for today. Oh wait, hold on. Oh wait, hold on, guys. I think Nando's are calling. They said we can take one more. This side?
My name is Grace. I'm 11 years old and I go to Notre Dame. And I'm on the opposition side because I believe in this world right now there's many stabbings and killings that are going on. And I just believe that with all this going on, I think that no one, that 16 or 14 or how old they are, they shouldn't be responsible to vote. If this stabbing and killings are going on, this shouldn't be happening right now, and 14s and 16s and any years old shouldn't be capable of killing someone. And if we're capable of killing someone, we shouldn't ever be capable to even vote. Thank you.
Round of applause. Thank you, guys. That is it, guys. Thank you so much. Amazing to hear all the different opinions. Thank you so much, guys. Now, someone in the back, I understand, I think it's Marie-France, has noted down all your names, your schools, and your points, and there will be a winner that will be announced after this debate. However, the small matter of who wins this debate is still yet to be decided. Now, as you guys have probably noticed, we've always started with the proposition and then moved to the opposition, and that's the way it's gone thus far in the debate. However, in the debate mate format, something happens with the last two speakers, who we call the summary speakers. Actually, with these last two speakers, we swap the order, because the proposition are putting forward an idea, they are proposing it, and so they have to do what we call or refer to as carry the motion, and therefore we allow them to both open the debate and close the debate. And for that reason, we're not yet going to go to Millie, who's the final speaker in proposition. We're actually going to go to George. Now, George has a very long history with DebateMate. He went to Central Foundation Boys School and was a student just like you guys. And he enjoyed unparalleled success there. He won national competition, and recently he has been a chair at the European Universities Debating Championship. George's favorite celebrity is Margaret McCabe, CEO of DebateMate. Give him a round of applause.
Look at that, I finally get a chance to speak. You know, I tell you what, sitting there, waiting, not having a chance to make myself heard, waiting for a chance to put forward my voice, seems oddly similar to the debate that we're having today. And you know what? Sitting there having to wait to make myself heard made me really want to stand up and do it. The same thing happened when I was 17 in the 2015 general election, when I couldn't vote in that. And so the following year, when I turned 18 and the EU referendum came about, myself and my friends, we were so ready for it. We were determined to go out and vote. I think the longer you make people wait, the higher you push up voter turnout, because people have voting out there as a thing that they have to look forward to. I think, in response to Ben's point, the longer you have it as a given, the more you take it for granted, the less you actually prioritize what is a fundamental part of our democratic system. What I want to do in this summary speech is discuss what change I think the proposition are actually making. So this is a question I have. What change are they making? Because what Denise told you is that young people in the 16 to 17-year-old age bracket can already make change. You'd already go out, take part in climate change protests. You have 16 to 17-year-olds marching in the streets in America now protesting gun controls. I think there are already things that you can do outside of the voting system. What's different about these things, though, is that taking part in a climate change protest is something you can buy into if you want to. Once voting rights get extended to everyone 16 and up, this becomes an expectation. It becomes a burden on young people as a group. Why? As Zarina says, it means you have to then spend time and emotional energy looking into the political system, finding out and being depressed about how politics today is broken. As Kiana tells you, as soon as you start having voting rights, people start to expect you to earn that right. People expect young people to start contributing to the tax system, to start paying in to the budget that they are then deciding where it gets spent. Whereas at the moment, you get to benefit from free education. That won't necessarily be the case in the worst case scenario. But I think the worst possible outcome of this is that you as young people get the blame. When schools get cut funding, when youth services get cut, it's your fault. Why? Well, because you could have voted on it, and you didn't. It's not the fault of all those out there who voted for the parties that take away your funding. It's put on you. You get the blame when you are the ones who suffer, and we on side opposition don't stand for that kind of victim blaming. And in response to Ben's point, yes, everyone in this room, and probably everyone in the country, wants to solve the climate change problem, wants to solve homelessness. The difference is people in different parts of the political spectrum can't agree on how. That is the key point. The ways in which we solve these problems are tricky. If we want to change our climate policy and shut down the coal mines, yes, that's great. Not if you are people who live in the north of England whose lives and communities rely on the income that comes from those mining industries. Those are the hard decisions you need to make in life. And look, in the age between turning from 16 to 18, you learn a lot in life. When I went to sixth form, several things happened. I got my first part-time job. I learned more about how the tax system works, about how it's difficult to balance your income. I started to experiment my sexuality and learn about the social reform in this country with the legalization of gay marriage at the time. I had a friend who got stabbed and had to then learn about the realities of knife crime on our streets and the difficulties in trying to solve it. Solutions in this world aren't easy. Side Proposition would tell you, if we get all young people to vote, you will all magically vote for the brilliant solutions that for some reason old people can't think of. What we tell you on Side Opposition is that this is a burden you do not want to take onto yourselves at this point. Go away, learn about the world, take part in debate, mates. When you come out with your voice, once you're adults, you are going to change the world. Thank you.
I would like to thank George for his fine speech. And if you were listening closely, you will have heard me describe him as a summary speaker, but it wasn't a very fair summary. So that's another idea of what the job of these last two speakers are. It's not really a fair summary of the debate. What they're trying to do is give a biased summary about why their side was the better side. And the second speaker who's going to do that is one of our most experienced mentors ever. Her name is Millie. She's an executive program director in the DebateMate office, and now she runs the DebateMate blended programs, which run in Nottingham and Leeds. She is one of our old mentors who used to play for Manchester United. And her favorite celebrity is Marcus Rashford. Give her a round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United fans and those yet to support Manchester United, I think there's actually no better vindication of my team's side than the debate we've had on stage today, which from both adults and young people has been far better than the debates we've been seeing in Parliament. So I'd like to thank them for all of their efforts. I think this debate today comes down to two crucial questions, all right? The first is, do we believe that young people have the capacity to engage in the political system and vote? We on Side Proposition, we not only point to history and the Scottish independence referendum where 16 and 17-year-olds were given the vote, and the narrative of that referendum was probably far better than that we saw in the Brexit debate where 16 and 17-year-olds weren't given the debate. We also point you towards the different responsibilities that people aged 16 and 17 have today. All right, we've had quite a confused line from this, from Side Opposition. They started off with their first and second speakers saying, no, young people don't have the capacity to engage in the crucial questions regarding our political system. They need educating on it. My question is to them, who educates the 16 and 17-year-olds? Because it's not part of our national curriculum for them right now. So what magically changes from the day you're 17 to the day you're 18 regarding your education regarding politics, all right? We then hear from George that actually we don't have an issue with young voter turnout and that young people go and engage in the political system. That is just, again, factually incorrect. Please go and look at the latest results of voter turnout for different age brackets. We clearly do have an issue with young voters turning out. And we say on Side Proposition, this is a solution to that. Because when you give young people the incentive to engage in the political system, they start having conversations regarding politics in a sensible way, as we saw in the Scottish independence referendum but a few years ago. They realised they were losing on this point, so they decided to change tack. They then say, we do rate young people's views, we listen to them, we've seen the excellent efforts they're making in regards to climate change, protesting, not just in climate change, but in things like gender issues and other things. We agree. Our question to them was then, if you support young people's views on these issues, why don't you support them influencing politicians' decisions on these issues? There was no answer from that. And that is because they're more than happy to have our politicians debate Brexit for another decade over addressing the long-term issues that we need our politicians to be solving. We think under our system, politicians start to listen to the concerns of young people, and actually it's time to give attention to those issues. We then have a bit of a second question to answer about the impact of introducing this policy. Now, we hear from this side that you'll get blamed for bad decisions, with absolutely no analysis as why that is the case. What we say on Side Proposition is that we don't come to bad decisions, all right? Politicians will be forced to listen to you if their job literally depends on it, all right? Politicians want to win elections. If you as young people say that you care about issues, they will have to listen. And then we don't get the bad decisions for anybody, not just young people, but the entire society that we live in today under our side. The debate today is clear. All right. We have one team who believes in young people, who believes in your capacity to engage with different political discussions, but also a team that believes in your ability to impact and to change the political narrative of today. We beg you to side with proposition.
Thank you, Millie, for an excellent speech. Let's give her a round of applause to all the speakers. They were excellent. Now, we're going to work out who won this debate in a second. But first, I have to work out the small matter of who won the floor debate. We had a lot of excellent speeches, and we've had a judge who is taken down all your names, your schools, and she is in the wings now. She is our Educational Development Director, and her name is Marie France. Give her a round of applause.
Okay, so I had a really tough decision to make, and I was so impressed by all the speeches I heard that were really passionate and well-informed. But there's one that really stood out to me when a student asked how voting really, or everything that's going on in government and all the policies that are being made really affect young people, and young people have their own minds, and government really should acknowledge that young people should have a say in the policies that directly affect them and will continue to affect them for a long time. And that was Karen from the Archer Academy. Big round of applause. Come up and get your Nandos.
Let's keep the round of applause going, guys. Let's keep this going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Well done. Okay, fantastic. MF, I'm just going to hold you there for a second, because what we know is it's Marie France's birthday today. Oh, tomorrow. And so what you guys are going to do is you're going to help us sing happy birthday to her now. So I'll start us. Happy birthday. Thanks, MF. Okay, there only remains 3 things for me to decide. The first one is who won this debate. Now, we have no pens, no paper. We seem to have run out of all of them, so we're going to have to use yours and my ears to decide who won this debate. So, I'm going to point to a side that you thought won the debate, and you're going to have to make as much noise as possible. Boris has to be able to hear it in the Houses of Parliament. Does everyone understand? Is everybody ready? If you thought side proposition 1, make noise now. Remember guys, if you boo, you're adding noise to the side that you didn't think won. If you thought the opposition won, make some noise now. Guys, I'm going to say this one more time, no booing. Okay, are we cool with no booing? Do you understand why not booing is a good thing? Okay, that was quite close, probably too close to call. So teachers, I'm going to get you to cover your ears. We're going to go one more time. If you thought proposition 1, make some noise now. And if you thought was really struggling to make the decision there. I think by a whisker, the side that won the debate was in opposition. I would like to invite both sides of the house to cross the floor and shake hands. We can debate, we can be friends at the end. This is it. You guys will be starting your clubs next week. So go to your teacher, find out the day, the time, and the room where the Debate Mate Club is taking place. Guys, shh, stay with me, stay with me. And the last thing I'd like to do is thank some of our supporters who have taken time out of their busy schedules in the back to come and see the debate today. Give them a round of applause. And I would like to wish you all a safe journey home. Thank you very much.